It's rare to see Klay Thompson so angry, but he was hotter than a tea from Starbucks barking loud at Devin Booker, pacing with a player's ball strut as he does when he's hyped. Before long, Thompson was in Booker's face, then shoving Suns forward Mikal Bridges off him, being held back by his teammates, then yelling some magic words to referee Ed Malloy, prompting the first ejection of Thompson's career. It took 796 games, including playoffs. As Thompson left the court Tuesday night at Footprint Center, in the third quarter of what became 134-105 Warriors' loss to Phoenix, he hurled more barbs towards the home bench. He even pointed to his left hand, where figuratively and emphatically has 4 championship rings to floss. 4 more than the entire Suns organization was surely the point. 4 rings, Booker said after the game, sharing what Thompson kept saying. He repeated it over and over. But this wasn't about Booker, not entirely. Booker, on this night, was the lead singer of a chorus that's been harmonizing about Thompson's demise for years now. Those who purport the best days to be behind him, and Thompson is bent on rebutting the notion. Beneath all the commotion in the Warriors' second regular season loss in 4 games is the lingering eternal battle Thompson is waging. This is a reminder his journey isn't over. Yes, he made it back to action after missing 2 seasons. Yes, he won another title and was a significant piece in his first year back. Yes, he had an off-season free of rehabilitation, but the road to reclaim his game and the fear his name brought is a long one and unique in its resistance. Tuesday was a window into why this is arguably the biggest challenge of his career. Thompson had 2 points on 1 for 8 shooting, missing all 5 of his 3-point attempts. Another rough offensive performance. He's still on a minutes restriction, which must feel like an ankle monitor for a player, a man who relishes his freedom. So, when he got into a verbal spar with the Suns superstar, Thompson was triggered. He and Book have gotten into a little bit over the years, Warriors coach Steve Kerr said. I remember 4 or 5 years ago when Book was first coming up. Klay was in his prime, and they went at it one night in Oracle. There were no ejections, but they were both competitive and they were guarding each other. Considering his history of battling with Booker, Thompson probably came into this game hoping to shoot the lights out and not let a rival one-up him. But the number 11 isn't in full control of his powers. He's still working his way back. Still scaling the statue of his own legend, still determined to prove his conviction is absolutely true. The Warriors guard also mentioned the respect he has for Booker, how much he loves competing against him. The Suns' 3-time All-Star was one of the first to reach out when the Warriors guard tore his Achilles tendon in 2020. Booker said, "The shooting guard battle won't be the same," to which Thompson replied, "When he did that meant a lot to me." Booker also referred to the spat as 2 guys talking a little mess with each other after Tuesday's win, and shares the sentiment of mutual respect the two have for each other. From the draft coming out, I said I want to be Klay Thompson, Booker told TNT's Chris Haynes post-game on Tuesday, but that doesn't excuse us from competing against each other. He is Klay Alexander Thompson, first of his name. Killer Klay, Lord of Game 6s, the spirit of a dynasty, deliverer of postseason miracles, possessor of the 4 rings. 4 rings, he repeated it over and over. Oh, he wants so badly to summon that player. No sweeter rebuttal than the sound of a net splashing. But part of the frustration that boiled over in rare fashion Tuesday is he cannot summon him right now, try as he might. The Warriors fell apart after Thompson was ejected. The visitors managed just 20 points in the third quarter, missing all 7 of their threes and committing 7 turnovers. They had been rolling in the first half, making 51% of their shots and staying within arm's reach of a Phoenix squad they couldn't defend. But once the Warriors cooled off, it was over, and Thompson couldn't save them. "I'm such a perfectionist," he said at a shoot-around before the game. "I want to be great right now, but I realized, man, it's a long season, and I'd rather peak some playoff time versus, early November or January." A fast break layup by Draymond Green cut the Phoenix lead to 79-76 with 8 minutes and 44 seconds remaining in the third. About a minute later, Thompson stripped Booker as he rose for a step-back three-pointer. The kind of stellar defensive play that fuels Thompson's conviction. The jawing between the two began then. What ordinarily comes next is the flamethrower. But Thompson, curling off a screen, missed the 22-footer the next time he got his hands on the ball. His outside shot was still cold, but his mood was piping hot. He was ejected about a minute later, at the 6-minute 31-second mark. The Warriors' deficit was just 6 at the time. The Suns ran off an 11-0 run, building a double-digit cushion the Warriors couldn't whittle down. And the game was over. This is fine by the defending champs. If 4 titles and 6 NBA Finals appearances in 8 years have taught them anything, it is that Larry O'Brien Trophy isn't won in October. They weren't sweating this loss at Phoenix. Getting trounced, hearing the Suns chirping, did nothing to temper Golden State's confidence. The Warriors were convinced they will eventually get to where they need to be, just like last season, in part because they're convinced Thompson will get to where he needs to be. He just isn't there yet, and as long as he's not there, it leaves room for wondering and worrying about whether he will get there. He is, after all, 32 years old with 2 serious injuries robbing him of valuable prime years. Doubt would be normal. It takes a reservoir of confidence and defiance to ward off something so natural, to believe enough to expect. "I have 100% unconditional confidence in him," Curry said, "but to get there, nobody can really understand what he's been through, even on top of a championship situation. All of the mental hurdles you have to continue to work on. You respect it because, again, none of us can imagine what the 2 years looked like. Just need to get him in the right atmosphere for a consistent amount of time, and that stuff usually comes out, because he's a winner. So, that's my confidence from start to finish with him. No difference this year." If tribulation produces patience, it would stand to reason this part would be easier for Thompson. Returning from a torn ACL followed by a torn Achilles sounds grueling enough to make this current anguish seem bearable. But patience is virtuous because it is not so easily mastered. Sometimes, he said during an interview before the season, he would get so mad inside. "I want to apologize to anyone who was around me in those 24 months, Thompson said during the preseason interview. "Because I was an angry person for a while. I was mad at the world, had a quick fuse about little stuff, and I was so angry, I didn't know how to channel it." Thompson also learned a technique from the book The Untethered Soul for those times he finds himself off-center. He takes a deep breath and, in his mind, he tells himself the same simple word 5 times. Hello, 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 hello. "Whatever bad thoughts and feelings I'm having," Thompson explained, "it'll distract me from that and kind of recenter me and allow me to take in all and be present with the moment. Coming back from injury, you cannot second-guess yourself. You have to believe you are who you've always been." Thompson said he is also on social media far less, swapping the smartphone for books more often. He spent a lot of time on social media during the 2 years he was out, and perhaps too much time listening to people's commentary on his game. He heard all the talking about the decline of his defense during the early part of his return, and the lower efficiency of his three-point shooting. Oh, and he can't stand when people ask him if he'll return to the old Klay. It's irritating. There is no old Klay. There is no new Klay. There is only Klay. The one he and his teammate knows intimately. The one who some others seem to have forgotten. His essence hasn't changed. His talent, his love for the big moments, his maniacal obsession with winning hasn't been altered by his injuries. He has to believe that. That's what he's determined to show you, show us in the media, show Booker and any other player with the nerve, show everybody, show himself. "Klay cares so much about the game, about his impact on our team," Kerr said after the loss. "He wants it so badly, and he's trying to force everything right now. He's just trying too hard, but he's done that many times even before the injuries." Kerr says he plans to remind Thompson that slow start shootings aren't uncommon for him, and he always finds his way. In 2016 to 2017, he started the year 3 for 28 from beyond the arc. He finished the year at 41.4% from 3. In 2018 to 19, he started the year 5 for 36 from 3. Then he made 14 of 24 in Chicago, setting the regular season record for threes in a game and birthing headband Klay. Last season, he was 24 for 73 over his first 10 games, 32.9% and well below his standard. While he finished at a career low at 38.5% during the regular season, he made 77 threes in the playoffs, his second most in a single postseason. So far this season, he is 8 for 28 from deep. He can play defense and make nifty passes and do all the little things, but Thompson is a shooter. It's who he is. So he is never fooling himself until that part is on par with his expectations. He thought the title ended his journey back. He presumed the struggle washed off in the shower in Boston last June. It wasn't, not completely. So he remains in the crucible, leaning on his stored resolve. He reminds himself he played well last postseason. Even when his shot wasn't falling, his defense was increasingly improved. "I learned that it takes a lot to knock me down," Thompson said. "Whether it's the injuries, the shooting slumps, the lessening athleticism, I'm still going to get out there and I'm still going to make an impact on a championship-level team. So I'm very proud of myself for what I've accomplished, but I still really want more. I still want to be great. And I don't want to use my past injury experiences as a crutch into where I need to go. I might not get from point A to B as fast as I once did, but shoot, I can still make shots and get stops like the best of them." He put his trust in Rick Celebrini, the Warriors' director of sports medicine and performance, before. He banked on his work ethic and stubbornness before. He got through the dark nights, nagging doubts, and shooting slumps before. He will get through this. He is sure of it. That doesn't mean it isn't hard. Until he gets back there, until he's shooting like one of the all-time greats and defending at a high level, until he's snatching hope from opponents in the playoffs and saving the Warriors from despair, until he's again creating epic moments. He'll have to find more patience and cleave to the confidence of past glory. And when people start talking like he isn't Klay Thompson anymore, he's fully ready to remind them of his bedazzled hand. 4 rings, he repeated it over and over. That's it for today's video. Stay tuned for more NBA news and trending fights and scandals happening around the league. See you in the next one.